Hello everyone and welcome to our live website reviews. We are now on episode 10. Unbelievable. So we've reviewed quite a lot of websites now, and I'm really excited about this. Now, quite a lot of you have already tuned in, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to take a quick look here on Facebook and make sure everything is working fine. So here on YouTube, I can see we already have some people already watching, which is fantastic. Here on Facebook, everything seems to be working fine. So if you can hear me loud and clear, please do let me know in the comments box. And today I'm using a different system. I'm actually using Wirecast for the first time, and everything seems to be working fine. So this time we won't be having a problem that we were having before, whereby if I switch windows, the audio actually changes, because before I used to use OBS. So this is now a brand new system which I'm using, and I'm really excited about it because it is quite easy to operate as well. So hopefully this will run smoothly. Okay, so today I have 6 websites that I'll be reviewing, and these were submitted by Steve, Tobias, Rito, C Marketing, and Alvaro. Okay, so Alvaro and then Mark. So these are the websites. And again, if you want to have a look at these websites, I've also included these websites in the comments box. So you can always, take a look at that. And if it's your website that's being reviewed, you can always take a look at that to know if your website is being reviewed today. In fact, you know what? I could have done this a long time ago. I don't know why I didn't think of that. So this is what I'll be doing in the future. I will just add the list of websites that I'm reviewing in the list. Today's episode is made possible by dvcake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. And also, if you want to submit your website for review, you can do so by going to the link which I've included in the show notes below. So just click on that link and submit your website, and I'll add it to the list of websites that need to be reviewed. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick look here and just make sure everything is working fine. Have Mark here and Monique. Awesome, good to see you. These are my regulars, so it's fantastic to see that you're always here on each and every live. So I really, really appreciate you taking your time out to spend this time with me while I review these websites. Okay, great. Right, I'm just checking to make sure that the Facebook stream is working fine. Okay, seems to be working fine. Right, so let's switch over here to the first website, and this website was submitted by Steve. Okay, so this is the website. So hopefully, now that I've switched to this window, the sound is going to be good. Right, so I'm just going to maximize this window as well. In fact, no, I'll just work on it as it is. Right, so this is the first website. So over here, in fact, in my opinion, there is an overuse of this blue throughout this whole website. I think it's a bit too much. You could mix it up a bit with maybe colors from your color palette. This could be even a light gray or even a dark gray, or maybe even a complementary color, just to add a bit more color to this website. I mean, the blue is a bit too much. You have it here on the text. You also have it on the icons, on this image, and also here on the section. So everything seems like it's pretty much blue. So I would change that and just use a few colors from your color palette. Now over here, we don't have a solid value proposition. This is something which is very, very important. So having a value proposition here would make it easier for people to know what your website is about and what action they can take next. Okay. These icons here on the second section, they're a bit too big, so I will just make them slightly smaller, and and also, like as I mentioned, give them a bit of color. Now on the top here, this color here is fine. Let's move down here to this section again. I've also mentioned that the icons are a bit too big. I would make them a bit smaller. The color is fine because we have a dark background, but I'll try and design these and just give them a bit of maybe color or even have a background which has a very slight gradient rather than have these dots here, because I can see these dots represent the world, but they're quite a distraction here on the text. As you can see, because the dots are closer to white and the text is white, it just makes it difficult to read. And what I'll also do here is to make this text slightly bigger, because right now it's a bit too small and it's a bit difficult to read. Now, over here on the latest projects, I think this is okay, but I think you can improve this by making sure that your images are high res. And if you are going to have things in the background here in white, I would maybe add a border over here just to make sure that we can see that these are separate items. And also the sizes, I would use consistent sizes here, because I can see these two rectangles are not the same size. So I would use the same size throughout here. Now, what I also noticed is when I click here on these icons, they're not taking me anywhere. Ideally, you want these icons to take you to a specific page so that people can read more about information on that particular page. So right now they're just images, but they don't take us anywhere. So I would actually maybe create a specific page for each of those projects that you've highlighted. I think that would make this even a much better, user experience when people come to your website. Okay, so moving on. Over here on the bottom, I think I mentioned this already. The use of blue is a bit too much. I would reduce the use of blue. Maybe here, since we're closer to the footer, maybe have this as a dark gray. Okay, and also here, let's take a look here and see if these links are working. Okay, yes, they are. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll just go through the pages in order. Right, so the next page I'm going to take a look at here is the portfolio page. Right, so over here on the portfolio page, I think this page has made it too plain. I know simplicity is very important, but you've actually made it really plain here. So I would actually add maybe even a hero image here on the top, just to give this page a bit of context. And then yeah, this is okay, but I'll make them even bigger, take a bit more space here, because we want to see more of what is happening here. So I'm just going to click here and see what happens. This could be a gallery. Okay, so click to view article. Okay, so this is a project. Okay, so here on this page, I would add a bit more context to this page and really customize this page and make it even look more exciting. So rather than go maybe to that page to view the article, which is the newspaper clipping, I would actually add that on this particular page rather than go an extra click to see that. Okay. And as you can see, there is no way to navigate back to the other project. So now I have to go back here by clicking the back button. Now that is not good user experience. I would actually fix that and make it easier for your users to navigate between these projects on your portfolio. Okay, so I'm just going to click the next one here and see if all these are following the same trend. Again, here we're lacking information. These are great images. They would look even better if they were bigger on this page. Okay, so as I look at this, I think this looks really beautiful. These are really beautiful images, but the way you've laid them out, I think you could have done a much better job here, because this page looks very, very plain. Right, I'm going to try a different page here and see if we have consistency here. Okay, we do have consistency, but it seems like everything is going on to an image rather than the actual project. Okay, so that's something that I would fix. So it looks like you have a great projects that you've worked on. So I would really customize those pages and make them look better. So here, download the PDF file. I don't think anyone wants to download the PDF. They rather see the portfolio and what you've done and all the projects that you've done rather than download it. Okay. So this is taking us away from this, from our actual website. And I think that's a bad move, because you're giving traffic to other websites. I would rather do some inbuilt linking to make things even better that way. Okay. Right. So I'm going to move on to the next pages here, the FAQ. Now, again, the FAQ here, you could have done a bit more by maybe even adding a bit more information here on this page. I think that would make this page look much, much better. Okay, let's have a look here. About. Okay, again, the about page, you could make it, you could make this more exciting. Maybe even add a video, but definitely add more color. And your image here, I would use maybe a professionally taken image, because I mean this is a forward-facing website which represents your company. So you want to represent your company, in the best way possible. I'm not saying this image is bad of yourself, but I'm just saying, use a higher res image. Just take some time out, spend a bit of money, get a professionally taken image to add here, and that would dramatically improve this page. Okay, so moving on to the pricing. Okay, again, I think you could do more with designing this pricing page, and also adding more context onto this page. It's way too plain, and things are really close to the borders here. So I would do a bit of work here, Steve. And then finally, I'm going to take a look at the contact us page. And yeah, I mean, this page here, these borders, they're a bit too much. I would actually reduce, maybe even get rid of these borders altogether. There's just way too much. It's just way too much for this page. And this map here, I would rather have it on its own section rather than have it this way. And maybe on the right here is where you can add your addresses, your phone numbers, and so on. Okay, so that's what I have for. This is what I have to say for this website submitted by Steve. Just add a bit more context onto your pages, and choose a color palette that you're going to work with throughout your whole website. So that will dramatically change, how your website looks. So I would work on those things. Now, before I go to the next website, I just want to make sure that everything is working fine here, and if there's any questions. Okay, so far we don't have any questions or any comments. So what I'm going to do next here is to come over here to my website. Because I need to give you some examples later on in the show. So I just want to make sure the page is open. Okay, add my URL here. Right, okay. Right, so the next website here was submitted by Tobias. So I'm just going to close this one here, which we've just done, which was submitted by Steve. And this is the website. So let's take a look at this. Right, so this is the website that was submitted by Tobias. First of all, my first impressions is this looks very, very professional. Now, when I closer look at this, I see that the images that were used here, some of them were not high-res images. Okay, especially here on the top. This website, in fact, this logo is very, very professional. This looks great. So in fact, let me minimize the width of my window, and maybe that could be the reason Not really. Okay, so basically, I would use a very high res image here and also make this section slightly bigger, because by doing that we can see more of the bikes, and this will make a great impression. In fact, let me show you something that is similar to this. I mean, I saw I think it was Pebble. I'll just show you some of this website so you can see Pebble. No, it's Pebble. No, it's not Pebble. It's Fitbit. So this is an example of a website that creates products. So I just want to show you how they present their products. And this is something that you may want to do for your website as well. Okay, so you can see here, the image here is very high res. Okay, so that's a very good section right there. So this is something that I would definitely look at if I want to see like products that you can promote, that you're promoting on your website. So you can see here the use of high-res images. It is fantastic. So this is something that you may want to do, on your landing page, because the use of colors here is great, but it's just this image here. I would maybe take a closer look at this image. Okay. Right, so moving on here, the use of the video, I think that is fantastic. And this text here is slightly small. Maybe I'll make this slightly bigger just to make it easier to read, because right now it's a bit too small. And even though I'm using a large monitor, I really have to strain my eyes to really come close and read what is here. So I would increase the size here a little bit. The use of parallax here, I think is great. But then again, look at this image. It's beautiful bikes. I would actually make this, use this image in high res, because it's a bit too compressed, or the way you've saved this image, it's in very, very low quality. But then again, if I come over here to your products, these products are beautiful. They're they are professionally taken. In fact, let me see if I can click here and see the product itself. Yes, see the products here, they look great. Even these images here, they're fine. Brilliant, okay? I couldn't fold these. Okay, that is great. Right, so that looks beautiful. But on the top here, you can see that this image that you've chosen to use is not high res. So this is really taking away the beauty of this page that you've designed right here. The rest of the information is fine. I really like the width that you've chosen to add your content. That container, this is a perfect size, so it's easy to read. You can read this easily. It doesn't strain your eye too much by going, across the whole width to read. So this is really, really good. Okay, so let's take a look here. I'm just going to go back to the page, and then let's go to the shop. Now, over here on the shop, what I would definitely do is to reduce the size of these products, and then add a border around these products, because by adding a border, it just separates, your content, because right now it looks like it's all over the place. So by adding a border, this will dramatically change, the layout of this page, because it's all over the place right now, and we can't see clearly, where the, how these products are placed on this page. And then again, I spoke about this, just increase the size of this a little bit just to make it easier to read. Okay, and the same here, I would add a border around these images. Other than that, it's great. Right, so moving on to the About Us page. Okay, now for these inside pages, here where you have your page, page title area, I would actually use different types of images here. It looks like you're using the same image. From what I can see, you have the potential of getting a lot of images here that you can use. So I would actually do that and use a different image here on each and every page that you have. That would actually, bring a bit more variety to the terms of, to the type of images you are using throughout this. Okay, so these images look great, they're fine. And this image here, it's the same image. This is the third time I'm seeing this. Again, I would change this image and maybe change how you're adding these images onto this page. I mean, the parallax was exciting on the first page, but you know, the more you start seeing it now, it's a bit too much now. So I would use something different here, or even use a different image altogether. Okay. Right. Let's go to the user manual. Okay, so the way the user manual page was created, I think this is fine. It's perfect. Now you see these titles here. I would make them slightly bigger because they're quite too close to the body text. So you have to really look closer to see that these are actually titles. So I would maybe have these as a H3. So H3 would work much better here, so we can actually see that these are page titles. So that's a slight sort of change that I would do. I also like the way you've used your overlay images here. I think this just makes it look different. But you know what would make this even look better is maybe having, you know, like an this orangey color here on the play button. I think that would make this even better. Okay, but that's a slight thing. Okay, so I'm coming over here to the contact page. Again, the contact page here is fine. You've kept it nice and simple, and I like the fact that you've added your logo here. That just makes this page look really, really nice. It's a slight little thing that you did, but it makes a big difference. So this is overall a beautiful website. I would really go in, change the fonts, and also change those images. I think the images are going to dramatically transform your website and make it look even more professional. Okay, so that's definitely what I would do on this website. But overall, this is a well-designed website, so you've done a very good job there, Tobias. Right. If you have anything to add to these websites that I'm reviewing, please do so by adding your comments in the comments box, and I'll be sure to read them out as well, just in case I may have missed something. Okay. Okay, we have Alexander here joining us. Good to see you, Alexander. Good to see you. Good to see you. Right, Alexander saying, hi, Mac, learning so much. Many thanks. Oh, appreciate it. Awesome. Okay, Mark has a very important question here about inbuilt linking. So basically what this is on your website, you need to link to different pages within your website. So let's say you have a page, a portfolio page. So you have images and a bit of text describing the actual project. So what you want to do is instead of letting the user click on that portfolio and go directly to the project website itself, you are taking now users away from your website onto a different website. Okay, so that's something that you don't want to do. So what you want to do is to have that portfolio link on your website link to a specific page of that actual project. So let's say you're designing I know it's ambitious, the BBC website, and on your portfolio page you have BBC, CNN, maybe Apple. So those are the three sort of like icons you can have there and a bit of description. So when people click on, let's say, the BBC portfolio, you don't want them to go straight to the BBC website. You want them to go to a page within your website, which you talk a bit more about how you created that BBC website. So that's what I mean by having links within your website linking to your own pages before you take people out to that project page. So that's what I mean by that. Okay. Mark also says, nice if hero images were deeper. Absolutely. So it looks like the images are occupying a very little space on the top. So if they were nice and big, we could see more of those images. So yes, that's a very good point right there. And also, Mark says, good that they use video on the user guide. Absolutely. I think some of these products, it's much easier rather than read to actually see how these are used. So that was a very, very great move there, Tobias. Fantastic. Okay, so moving on. Our next website was submitted by C Marketing. Is this the one? C marketing. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. I just had the order wrong. Right. Okay. C marketing. In fact, before I do that, I just want to check here and just make sure. Right, I have a question here from Mansoor. He's on Facebook, on the Facebook Live. Right, so I'm just going to take a quick look at the question here. I have a question. Right, so Mansoor here says the Divi email opt-in form is not sending the subscribers to MailChimp account, and I had connected the list accurately in the form sign up. Now, I had a similar problem before, and this was to do with my API keys. So what you may want to do is to check your API keys, or maybe even reset your API keys from in MailChimp, and then send yourself a test email, okay? Send yourself a test email and see if that works. So that's what I would do, because it could be that the API key are not saved correctly, or maybe there might be a mistake there with the API key. So that's the first thing I can think of. Try that and then see if that works. Okay. Right, so let's go ahead now and take a look at this website by C Marketing. Great, so right now, this is the website that we are reviewing. So what I've done here is I've translated this website because, in fact, it hasn't translated correctly. Let me just do it one more time. There we go, all right? So I've just translated it. So it makes it easier for me to to read this. Okay, so first of all, I think the layout so far is great. I like the logo in the top left there. I think that looks great. Over here now, on the image, I think this would even be better if we had more of this image showing, maybe even 200 pixels down, just to about there. Okay, because right now we're just seeing a little bit of this image. And I also like the idea that, what you've done here, where you've made the image a bit dark in order for us to be able to read this text over here. That is great. That was a good move. So digital marketing and web design, we are a creative agency specialized in online marketing and developments of web pages. I think that's a very good value proposition. We know exactly what this website does. But what you may want to do here is just to make this text a bit, just normal size. It's a bit too thin. And also, instead of having it in caps, I'll just have it in normal text, because in most cases, when you have all caps like this, it just it's like, the person is screaming at you. Okay, so I would just use normal text there, and maybe even have a button which will link us to your call to action. All right, so moving on over here on who we are. I think this is great. The way you've done it here. This body text is different size to that, so I would be very consistent with this right from the get-go. So make sure you're using the same font size over here. And also these icons, I think they're a bit too big. Just make them slightly smaller, but otherwise, these are fine. Now, moving on here. Not sure what happened here. Let me refresh this page one more time. Okay. Okay, so this is fine. Now, the moment I translate this, it drops down this 5. I'm not sure why this is the case, but it may be because I translated this, so I won't spend too much time with that. But I also like the color that you've added here. I think this is great. Hopefully you're using this color throughout your design as well. Okay, and then over here on the projects, I like these projects. Web design. great. I like the way you've created these. They're really nice. And also that animation that you've added onto it, I think that's great as well. So I'll come back to this section here and click one of these projects and see where that takes us. Right, so moving on, over here, the team, I think this is great. I think this is really nice, the way you've done it. But be careful. If you're using this color here on a white background, it's a bit difficult to read. So I would definitely not use this on a white background because the colors are very close, to the background. So it makes it difficult to read. So I'll stick to maybe using a light gray for these names. Okay, and moving down here, I like what you've done here on this section. It's nice, it's great. But this text here is a bit, difficult to read. I'll make this slightly bigger. But the use of icons here, I think, is great because it just gives us an idea that this is the person that's giving us the actual testimonial. So that is a great move. And then over here on the blog, I also like the way you've added this image here in the background. It's a subtle move, but it's beautiful. It's very subtle, but it's beautiful. I really like this. Okay, and then here again as well, this text. The meta text here is way too small. I would increase the size of this just to make it easier to read. Okay. Right, and then over here on our clients, I think this is brilliant, and the use of that image in the background there again, I think that looks really, really nice. So a job well done there. Okay. Right, so let's move on to the next pages. In fact, let me click here on one of these projects and let's see where this takes us. Okay, so this is White Coast. Okay, so over here, I would actually go into a bit more detail and describe how you put this together, because here I can see it's Merino Graphics. Where does this take us? Okay, so that was another project. So these are different projects. I think you need to make these very clear, or maybe even have a full page here rather than have these as blog posts. I would have these as their own pages, and then you could go a bit more into them, because I like the fact that here you've started describing what you've done, but not on a page which have a sidebar like this, because it just makes this look too empty. And then on the top here, we've lost now the header area of the website, which is really, really bad, because it makes it difficult for people to navigate to, the other pages on your website. Like right now, I have to go back to my browser button and click back. That's a bad move. So I would have this header area here throughout my whole website. So I don't want this to be missing on some of these pages. So that's something that I would fix straight away. Okay, so over here on C Marketing, let's see what happens here. Okay, so this website has anchor links. Okay, which is fine. Okay, no, so the anchor links are fine. It makes the page, nice and basic. But this is definitely, something that I want to fix here when you go on to these projects. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if there's any questions or comments. Okay, so no comments so far. Right, okay, so let's continue with this. So overall, I think this is a great design, but as I mentioned, you just need to fix that portfolio and also your body text font. It's very important to have it nice and easy to read, and also that header area, make sure that it's being applied to all the pages on your website. Okay, so C Marketing, thank you very much for submitting your website. Right, so my next website here is right. So our next website was submitted by Rito. I hope I'm pronouncing it well. Right. Okay. So this is the website. So first of all, when you take a look at this, nice big images. But one thing that I can see here is I think these images were a bit compressed too much. And it looks like, okay, this one is fine. But some of these, you can see that the quality is not 100% on there. Okay, so the first things first. I mean, you do want to have a value proposition here, okay? What does your website do? I mean, it's not very clear. I know it's not in English, but I can also see that we don't have a value proposition here. So that's something that I would definitely add so people know what your website does. Okay, so the problem I have here is I can't read what this is. Okay, so the images here, beautiful. Now, and I straight away on this page, I'm just taking a look at the colors that were used throughout this design. And I can see here that, I mean, the color here is okay, but I don't think these colors are from a color palette, to be honest, because these two colors here are not working well together. And then on the bottom here, this one here as well, it doesn't really work. So the first thing I would do here is to revise the color palette and just make sure that the colors on the color palette are, first of all, okay to use throughout the whole website. Because right now, those colors that I've first saw, I don't think they really work well on your page. But however, the images, the choice of images, I think is great, but they just also need to be high res. Now, when I take a look here at these properties, I think this is great. They're nice and big. We can see what is happening here. And then when I click on it, let's see what happens. Okay, so it takes us to the larger page, which has more of the description. I think this is brilliant. Okay, because now we have this page title here, and the map and the description. I think this is really nice. But it's just the colors here. I think if you change around the colors, maybe get rid of this one here, keep it white maybe, or very light gray, that could work. But the page layout itself is great. I like the way the page is laid out. Okay, over here on philosophy. Yes, now this is where we can actually see that the use of these colors is a bit tricky, okay? So here, these colors here are too close. Okay, this color here and this color, it's just way too close. And even for people that are colorblind, I think they will struggle with colors that are really close here. So you want to make sure that you use colors that have a clear distinction here. Okay, on the top here, you've also changed the color because on the previous page there was a color here on the top, and now it's changed. This is fine. I like the way you've described your pages there. And the layout of this page is fine, but you know what? This would look even better if this was like, how do I describe this? Like those checker boxes where like this image here will be in line here with this image here on the bottom. So now it becomes like the opposites, like this is opposite of that and this text is opposite of that. So right now, by creating this gap here in between, it has just taken away that pattern that could have been created with this, because that would make this page look really awesome. You see, like this image here, if this was moved closer and in line here, that would really look cool. Now, I think this can be achieved if I resize my browser. Now, you see, if I resize my browser like that, this looks way much better, okay? So the thing that you want to do here is to make sure that you take a look at your mobile devices and different screen sizes, and just make sure that this looks great on all devices. But this is beautiful now that I've resized it and it's looking like the opposites. But as you can see, this is for a specific size screen. The moment I increase my size screen here, we lose that design pattern. But otherwise, this is fine. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Okay, so this is a gallery. Yes, I think this is fine. Now over here, I think this is good as well. The way things are laid out, you have just two columns there. But what I would perhaps do maybe is to have a solid color button here rather than have the drop shadows. So I'll just have a solid color, or maybe even have just the border without the drop shadow, because that would work perfectly. Okay, and yeah, so the layout is fine here. Okay, we spoke about this page already. Nice. Now again, if we add a bit of structure to this, I think this would look even better. I like these images that are used here, you know, like the old school type images. That's great. But what I would do is maybe have this text next to this image, because there's no like hierarchy in terms of repetition in terms of our design here. Yeah. So I would add a bit of text over here and maybe a bit of text over here as well, or maybe have this image below this one here and then just have one column here with all the text. Now, what I can see here is maybe this color is important in this design. I can't really tell because I'm not sure what this website is about, but if it's a website which is meant to be like maybe colors that were used like let's say 50 years ago or something, that could work well. But right now I'm just looking at the palette and how it's used, but this color may be important in terms of what the website stands for and what the website is about. So that's something that's to bear in mind. So Rito, if your website, if that color is specifically for maybe a style that was used at a time, or maybe it's a style which is common in that city or where you are, or you can keep it as it is. But if these are just colors that don't relate to any of those things that I've mentioned, then I think you need to revise your color palette. I think that's very, very important. But I like the style here and how you've put this together. I think this is really nice. Great. So it's a simple design that you've put together there. But as I said, you know, there's a few tweaks to make. I can't make out what website it is. So I can't really recommend what colors to use, because these colors may be colors that relate to maybe the city or the part of your country or part of a tradition. So I'm not sure about that. But if that's the case, then leave the colors as they are. This is a simple layout. It's great. It does the job. So I think you've done a fantastic job there. Fantastic job there. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if we have any comments or messages. Okay, so moving on, let's take a look at the website, which was submitted by Alvaro. Okay, right, so this is the website. Now, just by looking at this page, I've just started feeling hungry. Now, that is a very, very good image because we can see the product itself. I think that's a great job. Now, what I may want to do here as well is maybe add a bit of a description here on the right, or just create some space, move this burger over here to the right, and then add a bit of description here on the left as to what this is about. Okay, it's a nice picture, but give it a bit of context and let your viewers know, you know, what website you've landed on. Is it a restaurant? Can you buy these burgers? Are they specially made burgers? You know, do you make these burgers as a wholesale company? You know, that's the information you just want to add onto the side there briefly, just to give it a value proposition. But otherwise, the image that you've taken there is beautiful. Okay. So Now, looking here, the text that you've used is just too small, okay? I would increase this text size because we can't really read this, you know? It's a bit too small. Even here, it's a bit too small. I would make this slightly bigger. Great images. I really love these images. I can see here on the products. Okay, what we can offer you, English breakfast products. Okay. Our brands, okay, that's fine. You can see here the brands that you work with. Yeah, but going back here, that's the main thing that I would do. I think this is fine. Maybe here describe more about the app itself and just let people know like this is an app that you can download or download and why people want to use this app or what this app does, because I think that is important here. Okay. Now these products, I've tried to click here and it's not taking me anywhere. You know, I don't know if it's meant to do that, but here on the on our products, what I would actually do here is make these images slightly bigger. Okay, I would make these images occupy a bigger width. So maybe increase the width of this area here to about maybe 70% or even 80%. So they're nice and big because these are beautiful, beautiful images. In fact, you know what? I'm feeling hungry right now. Right. Okay. But other than that, I think this is a great page. On the top here, one thing that I could do as well is maybe change the color, because just by looking at this, you can tell straight away that this is a straight out of the box Divi fonts. Even here, it's a custom Divi fonts. So I would change these fonts, make them slightly different. Okay. Again, this is beautiful. I like that. Make this text slightly bigger. And this can be done just by going into your theme options and just theme customizer and just customize these images, give them the same size, the body text, the titles, and so on. And this will be applied throughout your whole website. Okay, what we do, let's take a look at this page. Again, beautiful images. I mean, these images here are making your website look really, really nice. Okay, and then over here, what I would actually do here, Alvaro, I hope I'm pronouncing your name well, is to choose a color palette that I can use throughout the website. So like for example, I mean, what you've done here on this page is beautiful. Don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not knocking this page at all. So this text here is beautiful, but if you use like your own sort of text here, like your own font, this will just make this page unique. Okay. Now, even if I look here at these modules that you've chosen here, right? Again, these are just your standard Divi colors. Now, imagine if you could just give this a different background color, make this text a bit bold, change the border color. This will just make this your own design. So this is what I'm talking about. So that's what you may want to do there. Introduce your colors. Now, because this is a food website, you know, you could use colors like your oranges, your reds. This would work really, really well here. So that's what I would do on your website. Other than that, you know, you've got great images, you know, beautiful layouts, nice, clean, simple. Okay, so now we're on the catalogs. Again, this is beautiful. I like the way I like the use of white space over here. It's not overwhelming, but now over here, I think this design here would continue there. So I would add a slightly gray background here, or I would have a light gray border around here just to complete this, this catalog here. You can see the rest of them. They're like full rectangles, but the moment we get here, it looks like it's cut off here. So just continue this by just adding a border around there or making this background slightly dark, maybe a light gray, just so that we can see that these are all same size rectangles. Other than that, these are great catalogs. I think this is beautiful. Let me just see. Okay, so this takes us to the issue page. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now let's click on the order now and let's see what's happening here. Oh, okay, so okay, let's go to Barcelona. Okay, so we can order here. Okay, that's fine. I will need to go into that. Let's go to the blog. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right. I like the way the blog is laid out. I think this is really nice. I like this image here as well. It's great. Again, this is great. We can see where the depots are. It's fine. Now let's go to the contact. And again, we have a beautiful image there. Contact information and a map here on the bottom. I think that's really, really nice. Okay. Great. So just to summarize, I think this website was well put together. The approach that you've taken here, Alvaro, is a simple page design, which works absolutely. The only thing that I would change to make this even better is to go in and choose colors that work in the food industry. And I mean, on top of my head, I know that red, orange, and browns, they are appetizing colors. They work really, really well. These are the colors that I'll introduce onto this website. And those Divi modules that you are using, change the colors, customize them, change the fonts. Don't use the same fonts, because just by looking at that, you can tell that it's a Divi website. But of these websites that I've reviewed here, where you can actually see that these websites are not, you can't tell if they're Divi websites, because you've just made those little tweaks and customizations, which dramatically transform the website itself. So that's what you want to do. But other than that, great images, great layout, you've done a very good job. So that is great. Right, I'm just going to check here and see if I have any comments. Okay. So no comments so far. Right, so the next website I'm going to take a look at here was submitted by Mark. So let me just make sure. Okay, right. So I've got the website now. So this is the website that I'm taking a look at now. This website was submitted by Mark. So Mark, thank you very much for submitting your website. Okay, so when I first look at this website, beautiful. It tells us what your company does. Pattern imprinted concrete specialist. That's great. So we know what your company does, and I don't think there's a need to add your website here, because the viewer of your website is already on your website. So there's no need to add your website there. And also the phone number, I think it's a bit too early to add your phone number in there. So I would describe this a bit more as to, what it is you do and why people should care, okay? And why people should choose your company. So that's what I would add here, and remove this website name and also the phone number. Okay, because the phone number, people can always find this on the contact page, but this page has to be convincing enough for people to say, "Oh, wow, I'm interested in this." So, and I like what I've read so far, so I'm going to take a look at this now and contact, the company or the person. So here you want to add a bit more description as to why people should care about your company here, or why people should care about your website or your services that you do. Okay, so this could be we create amazing driveways using, whatever material that you use, and we also give 25-year guarantee or something like that. So that will get people excited and want to know more about your company. So that's the first thing I would do here. Now, before I move away from this section here, I just want to take a look here at the top, and I want to say that this is brilliant. I like the way you've done the top here. Again, if this is a Divi website, there's no way I can tell that this is Divi. So you've done a good job there by just customizing your website. So that is great. Okay, now this 10-year, I think it's a 10-year guarantee. I can't really read it over here. I would add it somewhere on the website here as the main thing, because that brings the authenticity and also shows that you are a big player, a trusted company in your field, in what you do. So that seal is very, very important. That needs to be on the main page, okay, next to your value proposition. So that's where I would put it, because right now in the top there, it's okay, but we can't tell what it is unless you really have to go close and read it. So I think that's a very good asset, and that needs to be on your main page. Okay, so moving on. Ratchford driveways do the best print, customer quote. I mean, like this here doesn't mean much, to be honest. So I would completely get rid of this section and maybe add testimonials from your clients, because I'm sure you must have a few testimonials here and there. So I would actually use this section as a section for testimonials, where you can just say, hear what our clients have to say, and then add your testimonial there. So I think that would look great, okay? And also the use of color here, I mean, it's now a bit too much, because right now with the image here, it's brilliant. But the more I go here, I mean, look at these colors here. It's just way too much. I would actually make these nice and simple. Like, for example, this section here could be, a very light color and dark text, and maybe have 3 testimonials here. Now the slideshow, why not just have the slideshow itself without adding this top blue color here? Just have your slideshow where people can just go through it, nice and easy like that. Okay, and again with this slideshow, the images I would use here, I would use much better images. Invest in a basic DSLR camera, or find someone that can take maybe like 10 of your best work that you've done with a professional camera, and then use those images on your slideshow, because that's what's going to sell your service. Okay, if you are getting a lot of work right now, yes, it may be good. It may be that you're good at sales, or these are like customers that have been recommended by others. But if you want your website to make a great impression for the first-time visitor, someone that hasn't heard of you, like let's say I need my driveway fixed and it's the first time, I want to see great images. That's what's going to make me more interested in your service. So great imagery is very, very important. So that's what I would do here. Add great images on your slideshow, and that will transform this page right here, okay? And then here, looking for a new driveway or patio. Now, this would have been covered here in the value proposition by having a very good value proposition. So there won't be a need to ask this question here, okay? Connect with us on Facebook. I think what you've done here is you've added an image, and then you have this content here on Facebook on top of what you have here in the background. So I would actually maybe have this as its own section, with a button there which says visit Facebook, and then this widget here in that area, but in its own column. Okay. Oh, in fact, I'm not showing the page. This is what I'm talking about here. Okay, maybe divide this into 2 and have this Facebook information here and why they should visit you on Facebook, and then maybe have your image here on the left. Okay, so moving on. Again, this background here is a bit too much. It's not really showing us more of this driveway. Maybe have it in context, like how you have this image here. Okay, or maybe even this one here. This is just a bit too zoomed in. It's a bit too close, and I would actually dim this down and have it that way. And then if you're going to have a gallery as well, in fact, yeah, this is working. So that's brilliant. We have a gallery here, but I wouldn't have this title here in blue. I'll just have this image here continue and then make this really dark and then have my description within that, because these blue section titles here are just way too much. Okay, and I like what you've done here. Your text is easier to read because this image here is a bit dark, and there's also a shadow that's happening here, so that is really good. But it looks like you've put so much information here on this on the page. So the first thing I would do, look at this 10-year guarantee. Again, this is something that I would have on the main hero image here, as I mentioned. This would look really, really nice, because right now it's hidden all the way right there at the bottom. Okay. Then here, these testimonials, these are the testimonials I was talking about. So these three could be up there, closer to the top of the page. And this could be your call to action. Get a free, no obligation quote. So this is what comes up here now. Okay, so you have your title, your description, and then your call to action, comes here. So your call to action would be a link to your, where is it? To a get a free quote, no obligation quote. Okay, so that's where you'd have, so this will be like your call to action. So when they click that, it takes them now to a page where they can add this information. Okay, and then over here, the map is fine, but I think you've added too much information here on the home page. This could be separated and actually be added to other pages here on your website. Okay, so over here to the blog. Great, I like your blog here, but I think this image here is way too big now for the blog page. So I would use maybe a half of this image, and then the blog starts. Okay. Okay, so your blog here is fine. I like what you've done there. It's brilliant, nice and simple. It's great. Let's go to the reviews. Okay, the reviews are great, and the one thing I also what I would do here is when it comes to reviews and you're working with a lot of customers, what you may do is give them maybe a 5% discount. I know it may sound a lot, but this is just an example, or some sort of incentive for them to have a review and send you also an image. Okay, so that's what I would do, just to have maybe 6 of them, give them a slight discount, or knock off maybe £20 just for them to add a review and also their image. That will dramatically change this page, because an image, a review without an image, it will just look like, they just made up, So by having an image there, psychologically, it just tells you like that person is the one that gave you that review. So it's important to have that face with that review, okay? And if you can, maybe even record some videos after you've done the work, because that's the time when the client is very excited, they're happy about with the work that you've done. Just ask them, like, could you maybe give us a comment about how we've done the work, and if you could recommend it. So that's what you'd ask them, and then that's what they need to answer on the video. So the video, again, you can use your own smartphone. So just pull up your smartphone and just say, look, just speak to camera and just tell us, if you like the work that we did. And then you can use those videos as reviews as well. There's a website that I reviewed, that I designed a few years ago of a gentleman that ran a driving school. So the suggestion that I made to him was, every time your client passes the driving test, ask them for a testimonial. And that's the time where they're happy, they're excited, and that's where all the emotions are real on the video. And this really, really, really worked very well for his driving school. So that's what I also suggest you do after you've done these jobs. Okay, so moving on, let's go to the contact page. Okay, so the contact page here is basic, it's simple, it's straightforward, that's good. Okay, so I'm just going to take a quick look here and see if there's any comments. Oh yes, Mark also says try and get video reviews where possible. Feels more real and engages users. So yeah, that's a very good point, and that's what I was also stressing here as a suggestion to Mark. JJ saying hi, Mac. How are you? I'm great, and good to see you on the show. Appreciate it. Fantastic. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is okay, so these are the websites that I lined up today for reviews. So hopefully to Steve, Tobias, Rito, C Marketing, Alvaro, and Mark, my tips that I suggested will work for you. So hopefully that will be great. Okay, so this is the end of the website reviews, but I can stay on if you have any questions. So if you have any questions, website related, Divi related, and so on, I'm very happy to answer your questions. Okay, so while you're typing your questions in the comments box, yesterday I did a tutorial which I think is very, very important. And this tutorial basically is about what will happen once WordPress 5 comes, and if it breaks your website, how you can pretty much get things to work with your page builder. So what I covered in that video was pretty much that you need to use a plugin called the Classic Editor. So that will take away the Gutenberg editor and bring things back to how they were before. So it's very, very important that you do that. So what I can do as well is I can find this video for you, and I will add it into the comments box so you can watch it. It's very, very important, especially if you're using Divi or you use any page builders out there. This is very, very important. Right, so let me just find that link. And by the way, this video I did yesterday. Oh, here we go. Right. So this is the video that I did yesterday. So I suggest that you, when you get a chance, or even after this live show, you can go ahead and watch that. Right. JJ says, what's a good conversion rate for a candle business website? Now, generally, a good conversion rate is between 2 and 3%. So if you can make 100 out of 100 people, if you can make 2 or 3 people buy, you're doing great, because that's, like a very good conversion rate. Now, to increase your conversion rate, it's not because of the actual product. It's there's a few factors that go into that. So first of all, is your sales page convincing enough? So that's the question number one. And the second question is, that product that you are talking about, have you laid out the features and the benefits of that product in a great way? And have you presented, that product in such a way that it makes, the person, easier to buy it? So there's a few techniques that you can use to increase the conversion rate. So it's not really the product itself, it's how you construct your landing page and your sales page. But about 2-3%, I think you'll be doing great for that. Abdul Majid says, please make a tutorial on how to create a news website. Sure. In fact, let me make a note of that. News website. Okay, I can make a tutorial on that. That's not a problem. Okay, so Mark says, "Hi Mac, great live show as usual. Felt the video was better previously. Not sure what's changed since I last saw you last week." Right, that's interesting. When you say the video was better, do you mean the video quality itself or the way I've presented it? I'm not really sure about that. Is it the presentation that was better, or is it the video quality, the audio that was better last week? So if you can expand on that, that will be great, Mark. Abdul Majid says, "Great fan since 2017." That is awesome. Awesome. Good to know that. Thank you very much for following me. Appreciate that. Okay, Mark says the video quality. Okay, so with the video quality, I'm using a software called Wirecast. So it may be that it's the software that I'm using that's causing the quality to go down. So I definitely want to take a look at that and see what I can do. JJ says, "My current conversion rate is 1% for my David Deer Candles website. I'll revise my product description, I think." Yes, that is very, very important. In fact, if people are buying, that is really good. So to increase your conversions, that's exactly what you need to do. And also maybe add a funnel that could also increase your conversion rate as well. So how you would do that is maybe have an introductory video. Now, before you sell those candles, maybe have a video where you talk about the candles, why those candles are good, blah blah blah, and then just create like a quick ad where you can say to people, "Here are 10 tips why, or 10 reasons why this candle is great," or whatever it is, and then or give something of value around those candles. I can't think of anything on top of my head. And then once you've done that, then have people sort of like sign up for something that you may want to give them, maybe tips on how to use candles, whatever it is, and then those are the people that you want to sell to on the back end. But this is a bit more advanced. It's email marketing and Facebook ads at the same time, Facebook or YouTube ads. So that increases the conversion rate. Again, this is something that I may be talking about in the future, depending on the demand, because as I've mentioned before, I'm a firm believer that if you can make your website make money for you, that's the great thing that you want to do, because your website can work as your sales and marketing agent even while you're sleeping. So these are things that I want to venture into on this channel. So do keep an eye on that, and do look out for that content coming out soon. Right, so today's episode is made possible by dvcake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link to that is in the description below. Right, there's a question here or a comment. Using more WordPress plugins affects on website speed. Yes, absolutely. If you use a lot of website plugins, they do affect your speed. So just make sure that the plugins that you're using are from good companies, and also you need to make sure that you try and find plugins that work like more or less like an all-in-one. For example, let's say you want a site to submit your XML file to Google. So there's a plugin called Google Site XML Submit or something, right? There's a plugin like that. So instead of having a plugin like that and then having a separate one for SEO, you can just use Yoast SEO that does both the submission of the site XML and also your SEO. So that has saved you from using two plugins into one. So that's what I would do in that situation. Mark says slightly pixelated, blur, color and shadows not good. Right, this is something I'm definitely going to look at because I really would like the video quality to be great. So this is something definitely that I'll be looking at and seeing, how I can make this look better. So thanks a lot, Mark, for letting me know. This is something that I'll definitely look at. Okay, so looks like we don't have any more questions or comments. All right, so I guess we can call it a day. So for everyone that joined me today, I'd like to say thank you very much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. And if you haven't downloaded or signed up for the WordPress course, it's a free course that I'm giving away for free. The link to that is in the description below. And also, if you want your website to be reviewed, do submit your website and I can review it for you. I'll just add it to the list of websites that I am reviewing. And of course, in due time, I'll be able to do that. And also, if you want to take your design skills to the next level, this is your opportunity to sign up for the Divi Blueprint course. Now, this course right now is on a 50% discount. And as I mentioned last time, I'm going to be upgrading this course very, very soon. As soon as WordPress 5.0 comes out with a new interface and all of that, I'm going to be creating this new course called Web Design Blueprint. Web Design Formula. What am I talking about? So the new course is going to be called the Web Design Formula. So this course is going to cost about $497. So if you buy the Divi Blueprint now, automatically I'll add you onto this new course that will be coming out. It's going to cover quite a lot of information. So take this opportunity and get your Divi Blueprint 3. This will definitely, transform your design skills and just take your skills to the next level. So that offer, again, the link to that is in the description below. And another way of getting this as well is if you haven't bought Divi or you want to change your hosting supplier, if you use my hosting account and my hosting affiliate link, I will give you access to the course absolutely free. So that's, again, one way you can have access to Divi University. Okay, so I'd like to say to everyone that joined me today, thank you very much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. Join me again on Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern, and I'll be sure to do some more reviews. So enjoy your weekend and the rest of your week, and see you again on Wednesday. Take care. Right.